Ironically, the modern networked world divides people at least as much as it connects. It's all too easy to lose connection with the past, with people who think differently, with our own values. No man is an island, wrote John Donne in the 17th century. Literature and music thrive on creating connections between past and present, between writer, performer, and listener. Connections that are real, logical, imagined, or subtly suggested. Artworks remain connected to the period and culture that inspired them, even if the best of them take on timeless significance. I'm Andrew Lawrence King, and this is the third instalment of my video diary as composer in residence at the Arvo Pärt Centre, creating a new Baroque opera, the play of music and time, an explorer's guide to early opera. Watch out for the live-streamed Early Music Day event on March 21st and another live stream on March 31st. The particular connections I'm thinking about today are to the two works that inspired this project. Sergei Prokofiev's 1936 Peter and the Wolf and Benjamin Britten's 1945 Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. I grew up with this music. Even before I could read properly, I knew how to work the LP record player, and I would listen to these pieces over and over again. The moment where the wolf catches the duck was seriously scary for a small boy alone, so the vinyl disc's flip side, Carnival of Animals of course, was marked with a letter C. I did know at least some of the alphabet, so that I wouldn't encounter the wolf by mistake. Though broadly similar in their educational purpose, the two compositions are quite different. Britten's Guide was aimed at persons not quite as young as Peter's friends. Prokofiev's strong storyline is usually narrated by a speaker. His musical structure is held together by the tight-knit association of character roles, instruments, and leitmotifs, rather than by formal design. But the Guide is formally structured as a series of variations for each section of the orchestra, then for each instrument within that section, and concludes with a double fugue in which the fugal entries follow that same order. It has no story and is often performed without its spoken commentary. Both composers show a genius for orchestration. Prokofiev's animal characters are wonderfully matched to their orchestral instruments and catchy tunes. What could be more perfect than the clarinet cat? Britten allows each instrument to explore contrasting aspects of its technical and expressive characteristics. The Guide was first performed in the first year of peace following World War II. During the war years, Britten had returned to England to face a tribunal inquiring into his pacifism, a deeply held, sincere belief expressed in many of his compositions. You can read online harpist Parker Ramsey's thoughtful article about Britten's political principles, the War Requiem, and Ceremony of Carols. Peter and the Wolf was commissioned by Natalya Sat, director of the Central Children's Theatre in Moscow, as an introduction to the instruments of the orchestra, suited to the musical tastes in children from the first years of school. Prokofiev wrote the text himself, and the idyllic rural setting provides a metaphor for officially approved social virtues: awareness, courage, resourcefulness. Natalya Sat was the daughter of exiled Russian composer Ilya Sat, who had grown up in a Jewish family and was a protégé of Leo Tolstoy. Her Ukrainian mother had been a professional singer in France. In 1918, 15-year-old Natalya began by producing touring puppet shows, and by 1936 her children's theatre had moved from a converted cinema into a large auditorium near the Bolshoi Theatre. In addition to commissioning Peter and the Wolf, Natalya Sat pioneered synthesized theatre, bringing together music, dance, acrobatics, mime, and multimedia. A year later, Sats fell victim to Stalin's purges and was sent to Siberia. Her strong will, courage, and innate feeling of dignity not only gave her the perseverance to survive a 5-year sentence in the labour camps, but when she was then sent into exile in Kazakhstan, she persuaded the Communist Central Committee there to set up a children's theatre, where she directed the opening production in 1945. It was around this time that Britten would have been composing the guide. Sats was allowed to return to Moscow in 1958 and once more transformed her touring company into a musical theatre for children, 1965, which moved into a purpose-built Palace of Children's Opera in 1979. When she died in 1993, the theatre was renamed in her honour. In the last decade, I have had a personal connection with Moscow State Theatre Natalya Sat. As part of the theatre's mission to offer young people and their families high-quality productions of all kinds of repertoire, I founded and directed Opera Omnia. This academy of early opera and dance supported Theatre Sats's Baroque productions. The very first opera, Anima y Corpo, the first Spanish opera, Celos aun del aire matan, Monteverdi Orfeo, etc. We also created training productions with historically informed music and staging of Landi's La Morte d'Orfeo and Sant'Alessio, Purcell's King Arthur, and a remake of Monteverdi's lost masterpiece, Arianna. Our international award-winning educational outreach supported all kinds of activities in Moscow's growing early music scene, including the first performance in Russia of the Monteverdi 1610 Vespers. Russia is now at war against Ukraine. European business, sporting and cultural connections with Russia are sanctioned, discouraged and/or voluntarily suspended. Opera Omnia's work in Moscow has been put on indefinite hold, although on a personal and individual basis I keep in touch with friends in Russia. Many of them have expressed their opposition to Putin's war, taking considerable risks in doing so. For this reason, I mention no names. I am proud of our work together at Opera Omnia. I was happy to give my time and expertise to young artists, to perform for this theatre's audiences of young people and families, to watch and learn from talented actors and experienced directors. I know that they continue their artistic mission to the Russian people in the spirit and with the values of Natalya Sat herself. Theatre Sats was the original home of Peter and the Wolf and provided a supportive, creative and experimental base for Opera Omnia's early music research, training and performance, from which the idea for the play of music and time arose. As war once again casts its shadow over Europe, a new work for children can encapsulate bright memories from the past and express hope for a better future. Now more than ever, we can be inspired by Prokofiev's fable of Peter's courage to defy the fierce wolf, by Natalya Sat's courage to survive and triumph over oppressive dictatorship, by Benjamin Britten's courage to speak out for peace.